Hello. Happy Monday, everyone. We are starting back up again. This is the homework help for geometry and pre-calculus. So again, geometry and pre-calculus. Algebra was earlier, so if you did miss algebra, tune in next week at 4:30 p.m. CST on Monday. Again, right now we're doing geometry and pre-cal, and I'll give everyone about 4 more minutes to join in on the call. We got 1 more minute, and then we will get started on some geometry. If you love geometry, put it in the chat. If you hate geometry, put it in the chat. Let me know how you feel about geometry. Looks like the camera's working this time. Yes. Perfect. Okay. All right, so we are going to get started. How's everyone today? I hope really well. Let me know where you are from in the chat. It looks like we have, how many people? We have 2 viewers. Yes. Let me know where you're from in the chat. I'm tuning in from Houston, Texas. So glad to see you all, and just letting you know that today we are going over geometry and pre-cal in this session. And so if you have any questions, please go ahead and leave it in the chat if you can. I know it's probably hard to type in the chat, but if you can't, I do have an email, so I'll type it in here. You can also shoot me a screenshot of your homework. You can type it in there if you want. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure I can help. So that is the email you can send your homework question to. And I will check in a moment. Okay. All right, so we can get started. Today, if we don't have any questions, I was just gonna go over volumes of prisms and cylinders. This is intro to geometry a bit. I feel like most people understand this concept, but if you don't, that's what I'm here for. If we want to switch gears, let me know in the chat. But yeah, let's just get started. So let me see if I can draw shapes. I don't think I can, and I guess that's fine, but I'll do my best to draw. I'm not the best artist, but I have a cylinder, and it looks like so. Not bad, not bad. And the radius of this cylinder is going to be 8 kilometers, and the height will be 7 kilometers. All right, so in this particular question, the goal is just to find the volume, right? So volume is just the measure of how much space inside the shape takes up. So when you buy a water bottle, right, the volume is actually what's on the side, like the bottle. When they say it's like 3 ounces or whatever, that's how much water is inside the bottle itself, and that's how much space it takes up. So that's all volume is. It's very different from area, which we'll talk about another time, just to not cause any confusion. But yeah, this is volume. And so for a cylinder, there's a specific type of formula. And so the typical formula is V equals base times height, but the B is not a lowercase b, it's a big B. The reason for that is because big B actually stands for area of the base. So the way to say it is volume of a cylinder is equal to the area of the base times the height. Okay? So the great thing about cylinders is that normally the base is a circle. That's what makes a cylinder a cylinder. And all you need to know, if you know that the base of a cylinder is a circle, you need to know the area of a circle. So technically for a cylinder, big B is actually just pi r squared, because pi r squared is the area of a circle, and you're going to multiply that by the height. Or you can rewrite it as pi r squared h. That's exactly what I'm going to do so I can remember. That's the formula for a volume of a cylinder. And I'll put it right here so you know. Okay, so let's solve it, right? So all we're going to do here in this problem is we're just going to plug and chug. Plug and chug, all that means is take what they've given you and plug it in. So in this particular question, they said that our radius was 8 kilometers. So I can label this R. I like to label before I start. And then it looks like my height is 7. That's how high this cylinder is, right? So we're just going to fill it in. So V is going to equal, we have our pi. Our R is 8. So I have to put parentheses so it tells me I filled it in. We have our squared back in there. I'm going to use the colors separately. And we're going to multiply that by H. So we're going to fill that one in with 7, right? Okay, so now we're going to do some math. So V equals, we can keep our pi. We don't need to multiply pi out. I mean, you can if you want. I'm not going to. But 8 times 8, or 8 squared, is just 8 times 8, right? So 8 times 8 is going to be 64. And then 64 times 7, you can use a calculator. But me personally, I'm just going to do it in my head. 7 times 4 is 28. 6 times 7 is 42. 42 plus 2 is 44. So it's 448. So this is going to equal 448 pi. That's our final answer. Now, if you wanted to multiply this out to get an actual number, you need to know that pi is equal to 3.14. So 448 times 3.14, and that will give you your final answer. So I'll do it just so you know. However, your teacher might be able to just take the 448 pi kilometers cubed. Don't forget that volume is always cubed. That's your final answer. So let's see, 448 times 3.14. Looks like it's 1,406.72 kilometers cubed. Don't forget that. So this is the final answer as well, depending on what your teacher takes. All right, so that was volume of a cylinder. Let's see, were there any questions? Nope, it looks good. We still have 2 people in the chat. So let's move on. We're going to move on to a cube. Well, it's not really a cube. It's a rectangular prism, but I'll do my best to draw it. Okay. We draw an angle. X. Okay, that's the best I can do. I hope y'all can see that. But this piece right here is 5 meters. The piece in the back here, or after the piece right here, is 6 meters. And the height, so just this piece right here, like the up and down right here, is 7 meters. Oh, that was hard to draw. All right, so we need to know what the formula is for the volume of a rectangular prism or cube or whatever that it might be. And this one is actually pretty straightforward. This one is going to be length times base times height, which is also very similar to what we said earlier. So V equals the area of the base times your height. And we know that the area of a base of a cube, of a cube or rectangular prism is normally going to be a square shape or a rectangle shape. So it's normally just length times width, right? So the area of a base of which is normally a square for a rectangular prism, is just going to be length times width and then you just multiply that by the height. All right, so in this case, we're just gonna fill it in like we said. So let's do that. So V equals our length. So the length of the rectangle, we're just gonna look at the base here. The base really depends on, it depends on how you're looking at it. It's usually the side that has only two particular shapes. So on this side, we can say that the base is 6 and 5. Wait, hold on, let me make sure. 6 and 5. Because right here is going to be 6, this piece right here. And then we said 5 is on this left side here, but it could also be down here, right? So 6 times 5 is your length times your width, and then times your actual height, which we said here was 7. So this like up piece right here is what's the 7. Okay, so this is technically 5 right here, and that's 7. So 6 times 5 times 7. That's what we're trying to figure out. 6 times 5 is 30. And then 30 times 7, we should all know, is 210. So our answer should be 210 meters cubed. That's our volume of this rectangular prism. Pretty easy. Okay. Let's see if we can do one that is a pyramid or a rectangular pyramid. Let's see. Before I do, let me check the chat if there's any questions. Nope, no questions. Let me check the email. No email. Okay. So let's go. Let me see if I can draw this. I'll try and draw it bigger so we can really see it. So there's the top. Okay, it's easier than I thought, I think. Okay, let's make this. Okay, I think that looks good. I think. Oh well. So let's label it. So we have 3, 4. So this is gonna be 4 miles across, and then we'll have 5 miles on the hypotenuse, and then 3 as the base. And then the height of the shape is 5 as well. So that's 5. This is 4. This is 3. And this is 5. Okay, so the very similar here is still going to be area of the base times h. And so this is a triangular prism. Wait, let me make sure. Is it the triangular prism? Yes. It is not a pyramid. Yeah. So a pyramid is a shape that is made up of all triangles on all sides. This one is not, and maybe has a base that's a square. This one has some rectangles and stuff. So yes, it is a triangular prism. Same kind of formula here. V equals big B times H, where big B is going to be the area of the base, and the area of the base is normally a triangle. That's what it is, okay? So here, the area of a base is, since it's a triangle, is that you need to know the area of a triangle. So this is just going to be area of triangle times height. So the formula for an area of a, the formula for the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. And they're going to multiply that by H again, because of that H in the corner. This is the area of the base, which is a triangle, and multiplied by the height. So let's fill some stuff in here. So the base times the height, it looks like it's going to be, so it's the height of the triangle. So you have to be careful here. Base times height divided by 2 is the height of the actual triangle. It is not the height of the actual prism. So be very, very careful. So on this particular question, it looks like the base is 3 of the triangle. And we're going to multiply that by the height of the triangle, which is 4. And then we're going to divide that by 2. Okay? And then we're going to multiply this whole thing by the height of the actual prism, right? So the height of the prism, they told us, is 5. Okay? So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 divided by 2 times 5, which ends up equaling 6 times 5. So the volume is equal to 6 times 5, which equals 30 miles cubed. All right. Okay. Any questions? Let's see. No questions? That's totally fine. We can move on to a different shape. Pyramids and cones. All right. So, like I said earlier, a pyramid is normally made up of triangles on all sides except the base. The base actually could be a triangle as well, but normally all the lateral sides are normally triangles. So, and with a cone, it's very similar. The base is normally a circle, so that's very important to remember. So we're gonna start with cone, and so I'll draw it for you. I hope I do a good job this time. Okay. So this radius is what, 2 meters? And the height of the cone is, how much is that? 7. meters. Okay. So the formula for a pyramid, for a cone is pretty simple. It's V equals 1/3 of area of the base times H. So we can write that as volume of a cone is 1/3 the area of the base times, write the word times, or multiplied by the height. So thankfully, the base of a cone is going to be a circle. And we already learned in the past when we did our cylinder, a circle has an area of pi r squared. So technically, what we're saying is that the volume of a cone is equal to 1/3 pi r squared multiplied by h. So let's go ahead and fill this in. So V equals 1/3, we'll keep our pi. R in this case, they told us, it's that radius from the center here out. And I said that's 2. So let's plug that in, 2 squared. And we're gonna multiply that by the height of the cone. Be careful, the height of the cone is not the slanted pieces. That's the altitude, I believe. And I can be corrected if I'm wrong. But the height of a cone is from the base to the tip of it. So that is going to be 7. So let's do some math. We'll keep our 1/3 in our pi, that's fine. 2 squared is 4. And then you multiply that by 7, you'll get 28. So this should be 1/3 pi times 28. Your teacher may take this, they may not. So you could simplify it to 28 over 3 pi. Or you can actually use your phone or your calculator and just type it in. So 28 divided by 3 times pi, which we said was 3.14. Don't forget that. So the answer should be 29.3, give or take. And that's going to be meters cubed. Don't forget that every single volume has a cubed metric. All right. So that was cone. Let's do pyramid. And again, I'll do my best to draw this. So I'm trying to think, should we do one that has a rectangular base or a base that has a rectangle? Let's do one that has a rectangle. That might be easier for me to draw too. So we have a front facing piece. Make sure it's big. Yeah. Why is it so crooked? Hold on. Okay, that looks pretty good. So, okay, then we have the altitude. Oops. So this is actually the altitude, the one that comes straight down. And it creates a 90-degree angle with the base. Okay, cool. So in this one, the altitude is going to be 12 centimeters. And then the length right here is going to be 11. And then this also is 11 centimeters. Okay, so let's do this. The volume of a pyramid is also very similar. It just depends on what type of pyramid. So a pyramid that has a square on the bottom is going to be a square pyramid. A pyramid that has a rectangle on the bottom, that's going to be a rectangular pyramid. And then a pyramid that has a triangle on the bottom is known as a triangular pyramid. So it just depends on what your base is. It's normally what it rests on. So we're going to do the same formula. Sorry. This is going to be the same formula of V equals 1/3 big BH, where big B is the area of the base. But again, it depends on the area, it depends on the shape of the base. So in this case, the base has the same length and the same width. That should immediately tell you that this is a square pyramid. Squares have equal lengths and equal widths and equal whatever heights. They're all equal. If it was two different numbers on the base here, you could say, okay, fine, that might be a rectangle. But we know that it's a square pyramid. So because of that, we know that the area of the base is just length times width. So let's write that. So volume of a square pyramid is equal to 1/3 of the length of the base multiplied by the width of the base. Then multiplied by the height of the pyramid. Remember, the height of the pyramid is the center, from the base to the very top. So because we know that, we can say V equals 1/3 times length times width times height. Okay, let's see. So V equals 1/3, we'll fill it in, times, what was the length? We said was 11, multiplied by the width, which was also 11, multiplied by the height, which is 12. So it's going to be 1/3 times 11 times 11 times 12. And that is just going to be, use the right color. So it should be 11 times, so it's going to be 121 times 4, which I'll just use my phone to do. $484. So 484 centimeters cubed is the volume of this square pyramid. All right, with about 10 more minutes. Let's see, any questions? Nope, looks good. Let's check the email. Nothing here either. So we can talk about surface area, maybe. Let's see, a little bit of time. Actually, let's talk about spheres. I don't think we talked about that. This is surface area of spheres. Did we talk about volume of spheres? That would have been kind of important to talk about. Let's see. Okay, so we can actually see, special red triangles. We can move on. We could do surface area. Let's do surface area of prisms and cylinders. We heard about volume first because it was a little bit easier. But surface area, all that's telling us is only on the areas we can see what is the area. So if I give you another example, if I have a cylinder again, sorry. So I have a cylinder, not the best looking cylinder, but I know that the radius on this cylinder is going to be 4, and the height of this is going to be 7. We'll say this is 4, this is 7. All they're asking for is the total surface area. So the way I think about it is this shape technically has 3 surfaces, right? As a whole round, it has a whole like rectangular piece that connects the top and the bottom, right? So if I was to draw this out for you laid out, we have like a rectangular piece that is rolled, right? And it's rolled around this piece, which is a circle, and the bottom half, which is also a circle. That's how a cylinder is made. And this is me just trying to show you this particular shape from a surface perspective. So if we think about it then, we know that our circle has a certain type of area, right? An area of a circle is going to be pi r squared, right? And since we have 2 of them here, so the radius on these are going to be 4. That did not change. So we're going to do pi times 4 squared. So when we do that, we get 16 pi. But since we have 2 circles, we actually have 32 pi total in terms of the surface area for those 2 circles. But we're not done, right? We still have the long piece, this rectangular piece. We do know that the area of a rectangle is just length times width, right? So this one is a little bit fun because we know that the width, is going to be 7. We know that much. But we're missing a piece. How do we figure out how long this is, right? And so to figure out how long that piece is, if you think about it, all it is it's the circumference or this perimeter of the circle. Because when we wrap it all the way around, it creates a circle. And so we just need whatever that distance of that circle is. And so to do that, it looks like we'll actually take length, and length actually just equals 2 pi r. Or pi d. So technically, we should have 2 pi r times 7. So what does that equal? So 2 times pi, our r was what? 4 times 7. I'm going to keep that yellow so we know that we replaced those. Okay. So that should equal 2 times 4 is 8, and then 8 times 7 is 56. So we have 56 pi. Okay, so we have 56 pi and 32 pi. That's just the surface area for both those shapes. We now need to actually add those together. So when we add them together, you should get 56 pi. That's 88 pi. And it's kind of hard to see here. So I'll bring it up. This equaled 56 pi. So we need to add these two to get the total surface area. So when we do that, we technically have 56. This one was 16. This one was 16. And that ends up equaling 88 pi. And whatever the measurement is, if it's meters, we'll just say meters squared. If your teacher wants it in actual math, you can go ahead and say 88 times 3.14 if you want numbers. So that equals 276.32 meters squared. So either one of these, depending on what your teacher takes, is fine. All right. We have about 2 minutes left, and so because of that, I think we're just going to cut it short here. This again was more of a pre-cal and geometry intro. In pre-cal and geometry, what's most important is understanding that it's now applied math, where you have numbers, you have formulas, but you need to apply them to shapes and theories and situations. That's what makes this one a little bit more fun than algebra, where algebra is normally just foundation, normally more theory-based and stuff like that. But this one is more applied, which can be fun. And so if you were unable to make it today, that's totally fine. We'll meet again next week, same time, Mondays at 5:30 p.m. CST. And then this week, we have one more session for science. So if you're struggling with chemistry or physics, I'll be here again on Wednesday at 4:30 for chemistry and then 5:30 for physics. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you learned a lot. If you have any questions, feel free to email me again at homework@systemtutoring.com. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, all those places so you can stay tuned and stay up to date on what I'm offering and any help that you might need. Again, thank you so much.